In the morning of November 18, 2009, a hysterical Julene Simcoe called 911, saying that her 36-year-old husband, Jeremy, had been shot in the head and that the attacker was still in their rural Ohio home. She reported firing 2 shots at the intruder. When police arrived, they found the security system working, the front doors locked, and no signs of forced entry. Forensics officers found no suspicious fingerprints or DNA. A week after the murder, Julene threw an informal gathering, telling an off-duty police officer who came that she wanted to tell him what really happened, but couldn't. Years went by with no breaks in the case. It went cold until investigators dove back in 2013 and discovered a hidden side to the Simcoes' marriage. They located graphic BDSM footage of the couple and a 14-page master-slave father-daughter agreement. Questioning if this could be tied to the murder, detectives bring Julene back to the police station for an interview.
My name is Rick Thomas. I'm an investigator with the Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office. Prior to that, I was a police officer in North Ridgeville for 32 years, and I ran the Detective Bureau for about 12 years. Dennis Terry's a special investigator that works with the Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office as well, and we're going to be doing this today. Before we get started, we have to put a few things on the record, okay? The first is an advisory. Even though you're here with your attorney today, I want you to understand that you are not under arrest. You are not in any way in our custody or control. You are here voluntarily to give a statement, and you are free to leave at any time during this interview. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand this interview is only a statement and does not constitute a plea negotiation or discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that you're agreeing to speak with us in the presence of your attorney after he has been given the opportunity to review the investigative files of this office pertaining to the death of Jeremy Simcoe?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand this is not a proffer and that any statement made by you may be used in this office at a later time?
Yes.
Okay. Are we under any time constraints here at all today?
Yeah, we're in a little bit of time constraint, but we have to be out of here by 3:30.
Okay. We'll try to.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys something first, because this was a question that when we were meeting with Julene, we sort of had an issue with. And it was an article that appeared in the Lorraine Journal on October 4th of 2012. And it says, after almost 3 years of investigating, Vermilion Police Chief Chris Hartung said yesterday the police department feels they have identified the murderer of Jeremy Simcoe, thus concluding their investigation. Hartung said the department is fine turning some of the abundance of evidence that will be sent to Lorraine County Prosecutor Dennis Will. The police department is confident in its belief who killed Simcoe, but Hartung said they will not disclose who did it. Well, if you guys already know who did this murder, then I'm not exactly sure why you're talking to Julene.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've determined that Julene is that person, then we need to know that before we even start this interview.
Okay. No, here's what I can tell you. First of all, Chief Hartung, with all due respect, does not speak for the Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office. And that statement, I can tell you, was made without consulting the prosecutor with regard to that. This is still an open investigation. Clearly, Julene is a person of interest in this case. And, and that's one of the reasons we'd like to talk to her. We have a number of questions that relate to this, and we need her help to help us clarify that and to get us to the next phase of this. If she was the only person, I can almost assure you she would have been indicted already.
Okay. Well, that's what we want, because she had asked me that question, and when I had talked to Dennis Will about this, I said I would like to be able to review the reports so that if there's anything that Julene can offer that would be to help with this investigation, she's willing to do that. Okay. But I couldn't do it blindly. And then when we read this article, I did talk to Dennis about it, and then Julene asked me again about it, and I said, that will be the first question before we start any interview. Okay. So I'm glad that you clarified that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he doesn't speak for the prosecutor's office, but is his statement inaccurate?
I don't even know what he's basing that statement on. So I can just tell you that's the position we have here is she's clearly a person of interest. We have not concluded the investigation. This is a part of the investigation. She walked in here. She's going to walk out of here.
Right.
So, okay. Now, there are a number of just very simple questions I need to ask you to get started on this, okay? Could you please confirm your full name, date of birth, and social security number?
Julene Murray Simcoe.
Okay.
And would you want Social Security?
Yes, please. Okay. Are you picking this up all right? Okay. All right. Now, I asked you earlier, do you mind if I call you Julene, or is there something else you prefer I call you, ma'am, Mrs.?
Julene is fine.
Okay. All right. I certainly don't want to be disrespectful in any regard. Okay. What's your current address?
In Lorraine.
All right. That's Lorraine or Sheffield?
It's Sheffield Township, but mailing address is Lorraine.
Okay. The mail that you have, is that sent to your house, or does that go to a post office box?
It's into my house.
Okay. All right. Do you have a landline telephone at that house?
No.
Just a cell phone? And what's your current cell phone number? Okay. Most of these questions are going to be real basic. There's not going to be anything, and there's no traps in these questions, okay? Okay. What kind of vehicle are you currently driving?
Toyota.
Okay. You know what color it is?
Black.
Okay. All right. What year is it?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Is it a newer, older?
It's newer.
Okay. All right.
Do you own it or lease it?
I own it.
Okay.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you employed at?
It's called SOS, Select Ohio Staffing.
Okay. And where's that at?
It's in Avon Lake.
Do you know the address?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay. How long have you been employed there?
A couple weeks.
Okay. And what are your job duties or your job title?
I'm an STNA.
I don't know what that is.
State tested nurse assistant.
Okay. All right. Okay. Who's your direct supervisor?
Denny. I don't know what her last name is.
Okay. Is there a phone number for her?
I have a phone number. I don't have it
Okay.
right this minute.
All right. Okay. If for some reason we needed that later, could we get that from
Yes.
you? Okay. Super. Are you paid by check from this employer?
Yes.
And does that go by direct deposit, or do they actually physically hand
They
you a
hand
check?
me a check.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are you currently involved in any relationships? And by that I mean, are you currently dating or engaged with anyone or something like that? Do you have a significant other in your life? Okay. So you have no relationships?
No.
Okay. All right. And some of these questions I have to ask for competency questions, so please don't take any offense to some of the things I'm going to ask you, okay? I don't mean to be rude when I ask these questions, but they are necessary. Are you currently under the care of a mental health professional? See, a psychologist, a counselor, a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Okay, and who would that be?
Dr. Mensa.
Mensa? And where's he out of?
Mercy.
Mercy Hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know exactly, has he diagnosed, or can you tell me what the reason is you go to see him?
Because of everything that's happened.
Okay, all right. Has he diagnosed you with any particular ailment?
Depression.
Depression? Anything else?
Anxiety.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to put you under, a lot more stress, but these are things that we're going to need to know. Are you currently taking any prescribed medication from Dr. Mensa?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Do you have medicine that is prescribed by
Yes.
Dr. Mensa, and what would that be?
Xanax.
Okay. And have you taken that in the last 24 hours?
No.
Okay. Are you currently suffering from any medical ailments that would in any way impact your ability to understand or answer the questions that we might ask you here today?
No.
Okay. Are you currently taking any prescribed medication other than the Xanax you talked about, other than that, which would in any way impact your ability to understand and listen and appropriately respond to our questions today?
No.
Okay. So I may have been a little confusing on that. So are you currently taking any other prescribed medication?
No.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, all right. Have you used any illicit drugs in the past 48 hours?
No.
Okay. Have you consumed any alcohol in the last 24 hours?
Nope.
Okay. Are you a high school graduate?
Yes.
Okay. And from where?
Clearview,
Clearview. What year was that?
97.
How would you describe your grades in high school?
Average.
Average. Do you remember what your GPA was?
No.
Okay. When you were in high school, did you participate in any extracurricular activities?
Yes.
Okay. What'd you participate in?
Sports. Band.
Okay. What kind of sports?
Earlier years, basketball, volleyball,
Okay. Play an instrument?
softball. Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you attend college at any time?
Yes.
Do you have a degree?
I have a certificate.
Okay. And what is that certificate in?
It's for the STNA.
Okay. And where did you attend college at?
Learning Community.
Okay. And is that the only courses you took there was for the medical field, or did you take courses for any
I
other
took
field?
courses right out of high school. I don't know what they all were.
Okay. You don't remember any of the courses or what field?
General courses.
Okay. Do you remember what you were trying to get a degree in or anything?
I was just going to college out of high school. Didn't really have
Okay.
a direction.
All right. Okay. When you were in college, do you remember what your GPA was in college?
Yeah.
Okay. Super. Okay, on Wednesday, November 18th, 2009, at approximately 6 a.m., your husband was found shot through the head in your home in your bedroom. If you could, I'd like you to please recount for us your activities leading up to that event, beginning with the previous 24 hours, going back to Tuesday morning, November 17th, 2009, and then going forward to the time you called 911, and then after that, we'll discuss the following days after that event. Okay? So take your time, your own words, if you just recount for us everything that happened.
You, like 24 hours before?
Yeah, when you got up
But-
Tuesday morning, how did Tuesday morning start?
I don't remember everything.
Okay, as best you can.
During the day, we worked on the property behind us, worked in the yard, leaves, raking leaves, etc. Yard work in general.
Okay.
We were canning pumpkins the night before. I mean, I don't know specifically. I mean, those, just basically what I told you. I don't know anything specifically. Just we were working in the yard, working on the property behind us, taking stuff to the street for trash pickup. Other than that, there's nothing, really
Okay.
exciting. Just normal day-to-day stuff. And
Okay.
then that evening, we were canning pumpkins, watching a TV show. Discussing, future plans. We went, I don't know what time we went to bed for sure, but when we went to sleep, we usually go sleep together. I believe Jeremy had taken the dogs out, hooked them up before we went up. Went to sleep at some point during the night. The dogs were barking outside, and he had woke up and, yelled out the window at the dogs. And then both went back to sleep. And at another point during the night, I, went up to the third floor and went to sleep up there. And then I woke up to whatever sound that I heard. Obviously was a gunshot. I went back down to the second floor because I thought Jeremy was shooting out the window. And I went to the bedroom and I found him in the bed. And I thought I heard some noises out in the hallway. I realized that something was wrong, that I heard some noises out in the hallway, and I picked up a gun out of the drawer and I shot towards the hallway. And then I think I went over and closed at some point. I don't know if it was right after that I went and shut and locked the door to the bedroom.
Mhm.
And then I went in the bed to help Jeremy, and I called 911.
Okay.
And then I was on the phone with the 911 operator until the police got there.
And what happened then?
After the police got there,
Mm-hmm.
I remember them coming into the room. I think there were 2 or 3 of them, and I kind of remember little parts. I don't remember the whole thing,
Okay.
but I remember them being in the room. I remember them taking me out of the room, and I remember being in my bathroom at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there being like a lot of people when I came out of the bedroom. It seemed like there were a ton of people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I remember being in the front room of the house, of the second floor. And I remember walking out of the house, them walking me out of the house. I remember seeing bullets in a shoe. I don't know why. It stuck out. There were bullets in a shoe by the back door. And then I remember getting, I think it was a police car. I don't know they took me to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at the hospital, in the hospital room, they kind of, I don't remember really ever seeing any, like staff or anything. I don't remember seeing a doctor or a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them at some point asking to call my mom because I realized where I was and that she worked there. And they wouldn't let me out of the room. They wouldn't let me call her. They said I couldn't leave, that I had to stay there, and that they weren't calling her right now. And I remember being questioned by the detective, and them taking some articles of my clothing and doing some tests and stuff on me,
Mm-hmm.
asking questions. And then I remember my mom coming in.
Okay.
You want me to keep going?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I don't really remember too much after that. I remember being at my mom's house and showering, because when I got out of the shower, I was wearing the wrong clothes when I came downstairs. And then I remember the detective being there, like, I think 2 times after that,
Mm-hmm.
coming to the house and questioning me. And I remember them being there. I didn't remember everybody that, I know there were family members that came to visit me, but I don't remember who all was there.
Okay. Where did you spend the night that night?
At my mom's house.
Okay. At what point did you return to your house?
Was it Friday that we went? It was
Whenever the
when we met
police,
him there. We didn't
released
even
it.
go in.
Okay. All
It
right.
was a Saturday. We went over there together.
Yeah.
Whatever day it was, my mom and I went, and we didn't go in. We waited for Jack and Mike to come
Okay.
to go into the house. So whether that was a Friday or a Saturday, I don't remember what day
Probably, I
it
think it was a
was.
Saturday.
Okay. Let's pick up
I had
where.
a friend that was taking care of the animals at the house.
Okay.
In the meantime, he came over and checked on them for me.
Who was that?
Al Hop.
Okay. All right. And so you believe Saturday you moved back into the house?
I didn't move back in.
Okay.
I never stayed at the house again.
Okay. All right.
We just went, they wanted to go over everything, and we met them at the house.
Okay. All right. And that's your best recollection of things that occurred?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What I'd like to do now is we're going to conduct more of a detailed question and answer regarding that, hoping we can, if we work together here, and because this is so important, that we try together to maybe improve your recall a little bit about how this happened. So we'll get a little bit detailed about things and ask you to think about it. If you don't understand my questions, that's fine. Let me know. But it's important for us to try to understand what happens here. This whole thing is a search for the truth. And I'm sure you want the truth to come out as much as anybody else. And, that's the phase we're at right now. So let's talk about when you went to bed that night. Let's start there, if you don't mind. What time was that?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't have any idea? Was it early? Was it late?
Maybe 11, 12 o'clock.
11, 12 o'clock. Okay, so you were canning pumpkins, or was it
I was
pumpkin and
making-
pumpkin seed or what?
Pumpkins in general.
Okay, all right, so you're canning pumpkins. And while you're canning pumpkins, what is Jeremy doing?
We were both working at it together.
Okay, so you're both there.
It
Was
a
anybody else
combined
in the
effort.
house?
No.
Okay, and at what point did you cease canning pumpkins?
I don't remember
Okay.
what time it was exactly.
During that night, when you finished the pumpkins, did you and he sit down for a bit of relaxation and watch some TV or something like that?
Yeah, we were relaxing in between. It's a process, canning, sitting down, watching TV.
Okay.
Back
What were
and
you
forth.
watching that night?
I think I remember we went over some stuff, and I think it was called The Prisoner. Is that what it was? I don't really remember the name of it. It was like a 3-day series.
Okay. What, HBO or Discovery? I mean, can you?
I have no idea what channel
Okay.
it was on.
All right. Was it a documentary or was it something
a
that was
show.
fictional?
Fictional.
Okay. All right. And you think it was The Prisoner?
I don't really remember the name of the show, but I think that's what it was.
Okay. All right. And you'd been watching that for about 3 days?
I think
Okay.
that was the last day
So what time do you think you turned off the TV then?
when we went to sleep.
Okay.
Before we went upstairs.
Okay. So would you have finished canning and then went back and watched some more TV, or did you finish the TV and go back and do more
I have
canning?
no idea what happened first.
Okay. All right. And when you were canning, what were you wearing?
I have no idea.
You don't have any idea.
I really don't remember what I was wearing.
Okay. Do you remember discussing this with the police early on in the investigation?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Who locked up the house when you went upstairs?
I really don't know.
Okay. Did you say, perhaps I read it, but correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that Jeremy went out and locked up the dogs or
I think
hooked
he
up
did.
the dogs? What does that involve when you say he goes out and hooks up the dogs?
They
or-
had houses around the yard with chains, so he would have hooked everybody up.
Okay. Now, that chain lets him move how much?
I have no idea.
I mean, was it 6 foot, 8 foot, 20 foot? Was it a
Yes.
lead? Well, I don't want to put words in
6
your
to
mouth.
8 feet, I have no idea.
Okay, but they could move in and out of their
Yes,
houses,
they had a-
right?
they had a
They
whole
each
area.
could come in and out of their house when they
Yes.
were hooked up. Okay, I just want to make sure. All right. And was it generally the practice for who to lock up the house?
It just depended. It wasn't really anybody's job.
Okay.
Either him or I did it.
Who did it?
I have no
Predominantly, who
idea.
did it? You have no idea?
It was a combined effort. Whoever
Okay.
was the last one
Okay.
out of
So-
the room, I guess.
And had either of you had anything to drink that night?
Jeremy had.
Okay. And what did he have to drink?
I believe he had some whiskey and beer.
Okay. Do you know what kind of quantities he drank that in?
I wasn't keeping track.
Okay. And you weren't drinking anything?
No.
Okay. And during the course of that night before you went to bed, did either one of you take any medication?
Jeremy did.
And what did he take?
I believe he took sleeping pills.
Okay. And how do you recall that?
He normally did before we went to sleep. It was a normal habit of his.
Do you know what kind of sleeping pills he took?
I have no idea. I mean, they were blue. They were over the counter, I think.
They were okay, over the counter, but you don't know what they were. Okay. And how long had you been taking sleeping pills?
Him?
Yes.
As in prior to this?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know, quite some time.
Okay. All right. And when you went to bed that night, I'm assuming all the lights were turned off in the house?
I would assume most of the lights were off.
I mean, is that the standard practice?
Yes.
Okay, that's all right.
Besides, like night lights, I believe the lights would have probably been off.
Okay. And you both went to the same bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went to that bedroom, was the door open or closed when you went to sleep?
There's 2 doors in the room.
Okay.
One was closed, one was open.
Okay, the open door, where does that open up to?
Hallway.
The hallway. And the closed door, where does that open up to?
Another bedroom,
Okay.
which at that time was our office.
An office. Okay. All right. What was Jeremy wearing when he went to bed?
I don't think he was wearing anything.
Okay, he was nude?
Yes.
All right. And how were you attired when you went to bed?
I was wearing my underwear.
Okay. And was that pretty common? Okay. As you may recall, at the time the police got there, there were several marital aids throughout the house open. Did you guys have sexual relations that night? Okay. And what was routine for sexual relations with you when you went with you two? Was it an everyday thing, a common thing every day? Okay.
I mean, usually.
Excuse me. Was there any particular reason on this night that you did not have sexual relations?
No,
Okay. All right. Had there been any arguing?
no,
Okay. No discussions, no disputes, anything at all?
nope,
Okay. Was there any particular tension or anything between you that night that would have kept you from having relations with him?
no,
Okay. You and he weren't having any discussions about or concerns about money or buying property or anything like that?
I mean, the property was definitely on our minds.
Okay. But was it causing any tension or stress?
No more than usual
Well, I
tensions.
don't know
we
what
wanted,
usual
we
would
wanted,
be.
we wanted the property, so that's what we were aiming for. So was there
Okay.
stress? There was stress over getting the property.
Okay.
Was it stress between us? No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Just in general,
How would you describe your relationship with Jeremy?
it was a good relationship. He was the love of my life.
Okay. How long had you been married?
10 years.
And how long did you date before you were married?
Date, probably 6 months. I'd
Okay.
known him years before
And how did you know him?
through a friend.
Okay. You didn't go to school with him or anything like
No,
that?
he lived close to my parents' house, so
Okay. All right. How often would you guys have arguments or fights?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know how
I
to.
wouldn't know.
I don't know how to answer that. Did we
Well-
argue? Yeah, everybody argues. How often? I don't know. As often as other people argue.
Okay.
I don't know how you want me to answer that. Or how I'm
I
supposed
just want you to answer it.
that.
I just want you to answer it honestly. I'm just trying to look for some level here of how often you guys
We
would have an
got
argument.
we got along very well.
Okay.
So we didn't argue that often.
When you did argue, did it ever become violent?
I did tell the detective that he did hit me one time.
How long
That was
ago
the
was
only
that?
time, probably when we first got married.
What was that all about?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
When you say he hit you, what do you mean by that?
He slapped me in the face,
Okay.
and I hit him back. And that was the end of that.
And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
And since that time, he had never struck you again?
No.
Okay. So, going back to what you said, between 11 and midnight, you go to bed, right? Okay. And did anything occur that night that was out of the ordinary from any other night?
Not that I really recall. I do remember the dogs barking, but I
What
mean,
time
that
were the
wasn't.
dogs barking?
I have no idea what time it was, but it's not. I mean, it wasn't that. They barked sometimes. Not anything that would alarm us. There's coyotes. There's raccoons. We have 100 acres behind us.
Okay. Well, let's go back and specifically focus in on between the hours of midnight. Let's assume that was the time you went to bed. And you said it could have been 11 to midnight, but let's assume midnight. Between the hours of midnight and the hours of 6 a.m. when the shooting was discovered, okay? What occurred specifically during that period of time?
We heard the dogs bark at some point. Jeremy got up and yelled out the window at the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I remembered saying that he might have taken another pill then. It wasn't uncommon for him. I think I said I took a sleeping pill or half a sleeping pill and I went upstairs.
That
At
was
some
after
point.
that was before you got in bed, or
We got into bed
okay,
to go to sleep.
right,
At some point the dogs woke us up barking.
okay,
I think Jeremy was restless. He took another sleeping pill after that.
okay,
And then at some point, he was snoring, which he did all the time. And I got up and I took, I think, a half a sleeping pill and I went up to the third floor.
okay.
To
When you
sleep.
say you got up to take a sleeping pill, where did you get the sleeping pill
The
from?
hallway closet.
On the
I
second
think,
floor or on the
yeah.
first floor?
On the second floor.
On the second floor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, do you recall what time it was
I
that
have no
this
idea
happened?
what time it was.
Okay. And then why did you go to the third floor?
So that I could sleep.
Okay. Is there a bed up there?
There's a couch up there.
A couch. And were you sleeping on the couch? Okay. And when you went upstairs to sleep on that couch, how were you attired?
Same way I was when I went to bed.
You didn't take a robe with you or anything like that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's fine. Do you know what time it was when you got to the third floor?
Idea what time it was.
Okay. And did you fall asleep while you're up there?
Yes.
Okay. And What's the next thing you remember after falling asleep on the third floor?
I remember hearing a noise that woke me up.
How can you best describe that noise to me?
It was a noise. I don't really recall what it was. I mean, when something wakes you up, you know, how do you describe it? I don't know. It's something loud that woke me up.
Okay. Were you sleeping soundly? Was it a fitful sleep? Or you?
I have no idea how I was sleeping.
Okay.
I was sleeping with a pillow over my head, which I did quite often.
Okay. And you heard the noise. And what
Yes.
was your first reaction when you heard the noise?
Well, it woke me up. So my first reaction was, what was the noise?
Okay.
But
and what-
obviously,
what
there was a
immedi-
noise that woke me up.
Okay. And what immediately did you do after that?
I imagine I probably sat there a few minutes.
Okay.
And then I went down to the second floor.
Okay. Would you say it was a couple of minutes, several minutes?
Time frame, I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure I sat there a few minutes.
Okay. So a period of time elapsed from the time you heard the noise and you went downstairs.
Yeah.
What caused you to go downstairs?
I assumed Jeremy was awake shooting out the window.
Okay. And
So
what
if he was awake, then I was going to go downstairs because he
Okay.
was awake and I was awake.
And was that a practice that you guys engaged in frequently?
What's that?
Shooting out the window?
Yes.
Okay. And what
Quite
typically would you
often.
shoot at?
Coyotes, raccoons, groundhogs.
Okay. And that late at night, you weren't concerned about it. I'm assuming this is something you had done previously, correct?
Many times.
Okay. And do you have any idea what time of the morning it was when you heard that noise? Okay. But it was, please don't let me put words in your mouth. But as I understand what you're relating to me now, it would have been during the hours of darkness when most people are sleeping, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Early morning.
And wouldn't that be something that would alert neighbors or concern neighbors or annoy neighbors if you were shooting out the window at that
We
time?
lived in a rural area.
Okay, but
was
didn't you have a
uncommon.
neighbor right across the street?
Yeah.
And,
I mean, that would have been
within,
towards the back of the house. So
and within about 100 yards on either side of the house, correct?
She's not going to speculate
I
as to what a neighbor could hear or not hear, so I don't think that's a fair question.
Well,
I think that's up to the neighbors to tell you if they heard something or didn't hear something. So I'm not going to have
Well,
her speculate on what a
okay.
neighbor could or could not hear.
you understand we need to ask that.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think that she feels
Okay,
like
well,
she can answer
if she
that.
can't, she can't. But it was clearly during the hours of darkness, and you assumed that he was shooting out the window at animals.
yeah.
Okay. And what window would he normally be shooting out of?
The only window, well, I guess that isn't the only window. The window facing the back of the property.
Okay, just to make sure that we're always on the same page, I have some diagrams that were developed by BCI when they did the crime scene. And what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, Jack, would you like a set of these? I'm going to point out to you here, this is the second floor of your property. And if you would, I've got a red pen here. I'd like you, okay, this would be the craft room, the office off the bedroom, and then this is north. And when you see these markings here, those indicate windows. So window there, window here. So if you would you indicate for me by circling with the pen what window you typically shot out of?
I don't really think this is north, but that's okay.
This is your bedroom here. And this is the hallway leading to the
So then it
bedroom.
would have been, what do you want me to do here?
I
Where do
want you to
think-
circle
I'm
the
sorry,
window.
but she said something about, you think north is incorrect?
Well, the lake is over here. So this would
She
be
thinks
north,
the
this would be
orientation on
south,
the chart is
this
off.
would be
So-
east, this would be west.
Is your house
Face the lake.
faced?
So it's, I mean, yeah, maybe like that, but anyways, to me that's
Okay.
north. This window. Circle it, you said?
Yeah, if you'd circle the window. And that, okay. All right. There's no window there.
Oh.
See that
Sorry, that's a
that's the window.
dresser.
Okay.
Want me to X this
All
out?
right. Okay. So
So there's
that
a
would be
window
the
here, window here.
That's a window right
Okay,
there.
so it's
Okay.
this window.
So it'd be that window. Okay.
This window.
All right. Now, as we're looking at this chart, this would be your bed. Which side of the bed did you sleep on?
I usually slept on this side.
Okay, would you put an X on the side you slept on?
Yes.
Okay, let's draw a line down the middle of that, denoting, okay, so that's your side of the bed. Okay, all right, so you hear a noise and you wait a couple of minutes upstairs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you come downstairs. Is there a particular path you took downstairs, or you just come right down the stairs? What did you do when you hit the second floor?
Well, there's only one door to that bedroom.
Okay.
So I would have had to come out of that door,
Okay,
go down the hallway, and over to the bedroom.
okay. So you came down these stairs, walked through the craft room, into this hallway, and into that room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you would, just take a dotted line and just trace exactly where you went. Coming
You want
down
me
the
to
stairs.
do the stairs?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Came down the stairs. I had to go over through the door. Down the hallway. This hallway. I'm assuming this is the door.
Yes, ma'am.
So through the door.
Okay, now at this point, was the door open or closed?
It's open,
It was open. Okay. Do you guys sleep with the bedroom door open?
generally.
Okay.
This one is usually closed.
All right. That leads to the office?
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. So,
This one's usually closed and locked.
okay. And this was in November, so it's dark. Did you turn on any lights when you're coming downstairs?
No.
Okay. Did you turn on a light when you came into the bedroom?
Not immediately.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We're just going to take this a little bit at a time. I wasn't there, he wasn't there, and we're just trying to recreate this so we understand as best we can what happened here. And again, I'm just going to reiterate to you over and over again, what we're doing is searching for the truth here. And we need your help to do that, okay? So if you're willing to help us, because it's so important, I think we can get there, all right? So that's what we're doing here. All right, you're in the bedroom. Did you pause at the doorway or did you walk right in?
I don't remember.
Okay. As best you can recall, what did you do after you entered the bedroom?
Is this open? I can keep going with this. I went over. Jeremy was sort of like, from what I can remember, in the middle of the bed, kind of.
Okay.
It seemed like
All right.
over this way a little more, maybe towards my side,
Okay.
because I walked over to my side of the bed. It looked like he was sleeping.
Would you be kind enough to draw a stick figure of Jeremy in approximately the position he was at in the bed when you went there?
Do you want me to draw a stick?
If you can.
I mean, I don't really remember exactly.
Just
But
give me the best you can remember. That's all I'm asking.
no, it's kind of in.
Okay. So just a little bit off center in the bed, more to your side than his side.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you, okay, so that's the position you found him in. So you walked into the bedroom. What's the next thing you do?
I went over to the side as he was facing this way.
Okay, you went over to what would you've referred to as your side of the bed. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're clear here. I don't want any misunderstanding. Okay. And what happened next?
I went to wake him up.
Okay. And how did you try to wake him up?
I don't really remember. I mean, to be honest, I just, went to touch him to wake him up.
Do you remember where you touched him at?
I don't have any idea.
Did you say anything to him?
I mean, I'm sure I was, saying something. I don't know what I said. If
Okay.
I said anything.
All right. So you try to wake him up, and what happens next?
I felt that there was like the blood or whatever in the bed.
What did you think that was?
I had no idea.
Okay.
But at that point, I felt, like something obviously wasn't right.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Okay. What specifically made you think something wasn't right? What exactly did you feel? Describe what you felt. Because it's still dark at this time, right?
Yeah, it's dark.
Okay, it's
I
dark.
mean, it's somewhat dark. It wasn't completely dark in the bedroom.
Okay. Were there any lights on in the bedroom?
There was I think the only light was from a clock light.
Okay. All right. So what exactly, as best you can recall, when you tried to wake him up, did you experience that made you feel something was wrong?
He wasn't responding to me.
Okay.
And then I felt something wet, and then almost immediately heard noise
Okay.
out in the hallway that I, somewhere. I don't know where it was coming from. I heard noise. And
Okay. All right. You heard a noise. What kind of noise did you hear?
I have no idea what it was, whether it was something falling or somebody moving. There was a definite sound of something.
And what area?
Outside of the bedroom.
Outside of the bedroom. Can you tell? Same floor, up above you?
I assumed it was out in the hallway. That's what it sounded like to me.
Okay.
I mean, it was close.
Okay. And what did you do then?
I grabbed the gun
Where did you grab the gun from?
out of my dresser
Okay. And where was it at in your dresser?
in the drawer.
Okay. Is that normally where that gun is at?
Either or. I mean, sometimes it was in his dresser, sometimes it was in mine. We'd been cleaning and
Okay.
stuff was moved around. So
Okay. When were you cleaning?
the days before,
Okay.
we were planning on having somebody come to, what do you call that? Appraise the house.
Okay. Why was it necessary to move the gun? Do you remember?
I don't remember why. Probably there was stuff in his drawer. I moved stuff and it was
Okay. And this gun, what kind of gun was it?
a 9mm.
Okay. Do you remember the make?
No.
Okay. And were you familiar with that gun?
I had shot it before, but familiar, not particularly.
Okay. All right. So where in the nightstand was that gun?
In the drawer.
Top drawer?
Top drawer.
Top drawer. And was it underneath anything? Was it right there at top?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If it
Did
was
you have
or
to search
wasn't.
for it when you opened the drawer?
I don't really remember. I just remember
Okay.
grabbing it. Like, I don't remember.
Okay. When you picked up the gun, was it loaded?
Yes.
Was there a round in the chamber?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that normally how you maintain that weapon in the house?
Yes.
Okay. Was the safety on or off?
It was off.
Okay.
I mean,
Is
the safety was on. I'm sorry.
the safety was on?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you determine the safety was on?
Because I had to turn the safety to shoot the gun.
Okay. And what period of time did that take you to do that?
I don't know.
Did you fumble with it? Did you struggle with it? Or just from having shot the gun before, did you just flip the safety off?
No, I had fumbled with it a little bit.
Okay. How did you fumble with it?
I wasn't that familiar with the gun, so it took me.
Okay, I mean physically, if you could just, there are different safeties on guns. Sometimes people will hold them up and look at them. I mean, there's a number of ways to resolve that issue.
But okay, fine.
If you can recall.
I recall going towards the light of the clock
Mm-hmm.
to find the safety on it, to turn the safety.
Okay. All right. Do you remember which side of the gun the safety was on?
I have no idea.
Do you remember if it's an ambidextrous safety?
I don't know.
Okay. Had you owned the gun for a while?
It was Jeremy's gun.
And Jeremy's gun? Were you with him when he bought it?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So you get the gun from the drawer. What exactly did you, after you've got the gun from the drawer, as I understand this now, you've turned towards the clock. You've used the light from the clock.
I think I actually might have walked towards.
Where was the
use
clock
light.
at?
I'm assuming was a dresser in there. I think it was probably on the corner of the dresser
Corner of the dresser.
or on the armoire. One of the
Okay.
two. It was there.
So you've walked from here to the dresser to look, use the light of the clock to look at the safety and take the safety off. Okay. And how long did that take?
I couldn't say exactly how long it took.
Okay.
I mean, I imagine it didn't take very long.
Okay. I mean, seconds, minute?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't watching the clock.
But you have some sense of time. We've established that you're a relatively intelligent adult.
I
you've
imagine
got
it probably took a
college.
few seconds.
Few seconds.
I don't-
Okay.
I don't think it
All
took
right.
minutes.
Okay. So you're right here. You've got the safety off. What is your next action?
I shot towards the doorway. or,
Okay.
like out of the doorway.
And what were you shooting at?
I was just shooting because I heard noise out there.
Mm-hmm.
So my reaction was just to shoot. I don't know who's out there. There's nobody else in the house. It's Jeremy and I. There should be nobody else in that house.
Okay. All right. And why did you shoot two shots?
I don't remember how many shots that I shot.
Okay.
You're saying I shot 2?
All right. How many do you think you shot?
I have no idea. I know I shot the gun.
Okay.
I
But
don't
you
remember
shot
how
it
many
more than
times.
once, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Well,
I remember shooting the gun. How many times? I don't remember.
okay. What were you aiming at when you shot?
I was just aiming where I heard the noise,
Okay.
out towards the hallway.
And what kind of rapid succession were you shooting the gun? Did you shoot, wait a second, shoot again, wait a second? I mean, how did you do
I
that?
imagine I probably just shot. I don't really remember what.
Okay.
I mean, it all happened really quickly. I don't remember how quickly I shot. I imagine
Okay.
if you say I shot 2 times, then I imagine I shot 2 times pretty quickly.
Okay.
I
So-
don't think I shot and waited to see what was going to happen.
All right. What hand did you hold the gun with?
I'm right-handed.
You're right-handed? Okay. Did you take a one-handed stance or a two-handed stance?
I really don't remember.
You don't remember how you shot the gun?
No, I don't really remember. I mean, I remember having the gun in my hand. I probably held it with 2 hands. That's how I
Okay.
would normally hold a gun.
Okay. You've done shooting before, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Can I
Okay.
just ask one question?
Sure.
Julian, where were you standing? You went over to the dresser where the clock was, and I'm assuming you had to lean over to get the light to find out where the safety was off. Did you shoot right from that position, or did you have to move away from the dresser to shoot?
I was at the foot of the bed somewhere, I imagine, in that general vicinity.
Okay. So you
when I
moved
shot.
from here back over to the foot of the bed?
I don't know if I moved at all. I mean, I know I was at the foot of the bed, and I was shooting that way. I don't know if I moved this way 5 feet or this way 5 feet, but I was at the foot of the bed.
But you had moved somewhat from the dresser.
Well,
No, I'm asking.
I
I'm
have
not
no.
put-
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I
All
remember
right.
shooting. I remember being at the foot of the bed.
Okay.
I remember using the light from that clock.
Okay. When you say the foot of the bed, if you would.
I was probably maybe in this vicinity here.
Okay. Would you just draw a circle where you think you were at?
I was probably. I have no idea.
As
I
best-
really don't know.
Look, give me your best recollection. I understand it's not going
If
to be
the
an
clock is
exact
right
science.
there, I was probably maybe in this area.
Okay. All right. And if you just put a red, mark that with a red S. Okay. All right. Now, what do you do from that point? What's the next thing you did?
I think what I did next was I ran over and shut the bedroom door and locked it.
Okay. And then what did you do?
And then I went back to the bed.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I think I rolled Jeremy over. I noticed there was a lot of blood. I think I put a towel like on his head where it was bleeding.
Okay.
I looked for a phone to call, and the phone was usually, I mean, I think the charger was probably over here somewhere.
Mhm.
And I didn't see the phones, and his phone was on his dresser. So I used that phone
Okay.
to call the operator.
Okay. And at any time prior to this, had you turned on an interior light?
At some point when I was in the bed, I turned on the light.
Where's the light switch at there?
It was like directly over towards the foot of the bed. There was, the light switch is on the wall, but we just used the pull thing.
Okay. So you just reached up while you're on the bed and turned on the light?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that how you turn the light off at night? You just reach up and use the pull chain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So from the time you called 911, how much time elapsed before you got on the bed? Or did you get on the bed first and then
I was
come back
already
and
on
call
the bed.
911? Okay, you took the phone with you.
No.
Okay.
I came and got onto the bed and went to Jeremy,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no idea how much time elapsed. And I looked for the phone at some point, which I believe the charger was over here and the
Okay.
phone wasn't there. But his phone was on the dresser. So I grabbed his cell phone and called while I was in the bed with him.
When you say dresser, do you mean his nightstand or
Yeah,
over here on the dresser?
nightstand.
Okay. So you're saying you picked up his phone
I believe it was on the nightstand when I picked
from
it
his
up.
nightstand. Okay. And you were in the bed when you picked that up. And you're, go ahead. No, go ahead.
What did you do with the gun, Julian, after you fired it?
I think I kept it with me.
Okay, in the
I believe so. I don't really remember
okay,
what
When you-
transpired with the gun.
right. I understand. when you went for the turn on the light or reached over to get the phone, do you have any recollection whether you were also had your hand on your weapon at the same time, or would you have dropped it on the
I
bed?
may have set it down.
Set it down.
I honestly don't remember at that point
Okay.
what I did with the gun.
Okay, but if you did set it down, you would have set it in the bed, assuming.
Bed,
Okay.
I would dress or something like that. I'm pretty sure I kept it with me.
Just for clarification purposes, I just normally use these two tables at each end of the bed. I usually refer to them as nightstands or night tables.
Up at the head here?
Yeah, you refer them as dressers? What do you refer this to?
I guess I just used it both ways, so
Both ways? Okay, I understand.
I know in my head what I'm talking about when I say it, but we just clarified that, I think.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. Anything else?
No, that's
Okay. All right. Just so I have this clear in my head, you have shot the gun 2 or more times. Okay. You don't know what you've done with the gun, or you think you took it to the bed with you?
I'm sure I took it to the bed. I don't know if
Okay.
I sat it down or took it in the bed, but I had it with me.
Okay. So let's go right to the point. You fired the shots. You're on the bed. What's the next thing you do?
I was checking on Jeremy in the bed.
Okay. In the dark or in the light?
At some point, I turned the light on.
Okay.
I probably turned it on fairly quickly to see what was going on.
And what did you determine after you turned on? What did you see when you turned on the light?
I saw him laying there, and there was blood everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do then? What was the very next thing you did?
I think I grabbed a towel.
Okay. Where did you get the towel from?
I don't know if it was on the dresser, on the nightstand. I'm not sure where there was a towel there. I grabbed it.
Is that normal for there to be a towel on the nightstand?
I don't know. Probably. I'm not sure where I grabbed it from. I remember there being a towel.
Do you remember getting off the bed to get the towel?
I don't remember that.
Okay. What did you do when you got the towel?
I put it on the back of his head.
Okay. All right. And what did you do then?
I think probably shortly after that is when I called 911. I was looking for the phone.
Okay. And you found the phone again where?
His phone was, I believe, it was sitting on his nightstand.
Okay. Where would your phone have been?
I believe my phone was either in the other room. I think my phone was in the other room on the charger.
Okay. During this period of time, do you hear any other noises in the house?
I don't remember paying attention to anything but what was going on right there.
Okay. So now you're calling the 911 operator, correct? Okay. What transpired during that period of time? What did you do?
I remember pulling him off the bed, as she instructed me to do,
Mhm.
to get him onto
And how
the
did
floor.
you do that?
I don't know how I grabbed him. I grabbed him and pulled him off the bed over to here.
Okay. All right. Did you set the phone down when you were doing that? Were you holding the phone? Did you have what were you doing at
I
that
don't really
time?
remember where the phone was.
Okay.
I remember being on the phone. I don't know if I set it down or if I was holding it
Okay.
and doing it.
All right. So you set him on the floor, correct?
Yeah.
How much time elapsed from the time you called 911 and you decided to move him onto the floor?
I did it when she told me to.
Okay. All right. And what did you do then?
I was holding a towel behind his head,
Okay.
and I did do CPR. She was instructing me on the
Mhm.
phone.
Again, I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but did it appear to you at that time that he was deceased?
I thought I could see his neck moving, but I don't know if I was thinking that or not.
Okay. Was there a point prior to the arrival of the police that you believed he was deceased?
I wasn't sure.
Well, I understand you weren't sure, but was there a point that you thought he's gone?
I don't really know. What I was thinking at that point.
Okay. All right. So you're doing 911 in conjunction with what the operator's telling you. What happens next?
It was a while before the police got there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing. I don't really recall everything, but I remember hearing them asking to come into the bedroom. They were outside the door, and the door was locked.
Okay. And what point did you open at? Before they got there, or while they were
No,
coming
I
up the
opened it
steps?
after
Or?
they must have been at the door because I heard
Okay.
them there.
And what's the mechanism for locking that door?
I think it was a little, like a lever.
Okay. All right. All right. And what happened as soon as they got there?
I remember one guy in particular walking around the bedroom, and I was asking for him to help me, and he just was. I mean, I don't really. It was. I remember pieces, parts, but I remember them being in the bedroom.
Okay. Okay, just to give you a little break from that a little bit. Let's talk about some other things that are what we would consider pre-event. You have a concealed weapons carry permit, is that correct? And actually, as I recall looking at the records, you're on your second term with a, okay,
I don't know if it's my second term, but I had to renew.
okay. Erie County?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw in the file two renewal, a renewal and a new one. So let's talk about handguns, because as I understand it, from some of the people we've talked to and reports I've read, we're not unfamiliar with the outdoors and hunting and things like that.
Yeah.
So, when did you first get your CCW permit?
I don't remember the
Okay.
year.
Well, let me
there
ask
was
you
a whole
this.
group of us that went to get it.
Okay, where did you get your training at?
I want to say Rochester Township, maybe. There was a
Okay.
classes that we went to.
Do you remember who the instructor was?
No.
Okay, and what did that training consist of?
Safety with a weapon. Some of the laws I think we went over. How to clean a gun.
Okay, and was there any actual live fire that you had
At
to
the end
perform?
there was. We had
Okay.
to pass a competency test, I think.
And did you pass that test?
I got my concealed carry.
Okay,
So
and
yes.
what type of firearm were you using at that time?
357.
Okay, the 6-inch or the one that's in the vehicle, the 2.5 inch,
That was the large one.
the large one. Okay, so you carried that.
I
And-
didn't carry it.
Okay.
I never
no,
carried
no, I'm
the
saying
gun.
for the class. I'm saying for the class.
Yes, that's what
Okay.
we qualified with.
All right. And when you had that at the class, did you have a holster with that?
I don't remember.
When you're at the range, you didn't put your gun in the holster during the different courses of fire?
I remember qualifying with it. I don't know if it was in a holster, what kind of holster. I know Jeremy and I both qualified with that gun.
You both used the same one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you obviously weren't shooting at the same time?
No.
Okay. And did you have any problems qualifying?
I think I probably had to shoot a couple times more.
Okay.
I qualified. I don't know how difficulty I had, but I qualified.
Sure. And prior to this, had you ever shot a gun before?
Yes.
Okay. How many times would you say?
I have no idea. I never shot a gun until I met Jeremy.
Okay. How soon after you met Jeremy did you begin shooting guns?
Probably pretty quickly.
Okay. And you got
I
married in what
started
year?
hunting with him right away.
Before you were married, or?
Before we were married.
Okay. So, and you were married, what, 14 years?
10 years at the
10
time.
years. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 10 years. So 10 and a half years off and on you've been using guns. Is that correct? Okay. Is it fair to say you had a passing familiarity with guns?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the 9mm you guys had owned for how long?
He had it, I think, when I met him.
Okay. Were you and Jeremy the type of people that if you use equipment, you clean it after you use it?
Not every time.
Not every time? Did you ever clean the weapons?
I helped him. I never did it by
Okay.
myself.
Have you
He was
ever
pretty good at
disassembled? Did you ever disassemble the 9mm?
I never had. I'm sure he probably had. Usually
Okay.
he was the one cleaning, and I was assisting.
Okay. Can you describe for me how to load a 9mm?
Well, it would have a clip with that you'd have to manually load,
Right.
and then he always kept one in the chamber. So after he loaded it, he would put one in the chamber and then take the clip out and put another one in.
Okay.
I really didn't do it, but that's how he kept them.
Okay. All right. And when you guys shot, because as I understand it, that property that you're trying to buy, you guys would go out there and shoot on that property. How often, is recreational shooting, am I fair in saying that?
That we shot recreationally.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
Yeah,
was,
we had what do you call that? Where you pull it and we had little pucks that we called them that we made
Right.
skeet that would go and we
okay.
like with the shotguns and stuff.
All right. How often would you shoot the handguns?
Handguns not very often.
Okay.
Not often at all.
How many times did you say prior to this you shot the 9mm?
Less than a handful, I would say.
I don't know what a handful is.
A handful would be 5.
5? Okay. All
So
right.
probably less than that.
Okay. And when you shot it, how many rounds would you shoot at a time?
I have no idea.
Would
I
you
mean,
shoot a full magazine and
No,
empty it?
I
Or?
don't think I've ever shot a full magazine out of that gun.
Okay. All right. And the 357, the large one. Excuse me. How often did you shoot that?
About as often as the 9mm. We didn't often use the handguns. We were more with hunting stuff like a 22 and a shotgun.
Okay. So you
I
said
had shot them, but it wasn't something that we often did.
Okay. But you weren't afraid of guns.
Not necessarily, no.
Had you ever carried a gun when you were out and about?
I think I probably concealed carried prior to that.
About how many times would you carry a gun out and about?
Me, not often, because I was almost
Okay.
always with Jeremy, and if anybody
Okay.
carried, it was him.
All right. And when you carried, what did you carry?
The couple times that I did, the small revolver.
That was in your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really remember, but if I did, it was probably that because it was the smallest one.
Okay. Shortly after this event happened, I believe by the police report, it says that I think they secured the scene and handed the keys off, I think 6 p.m. on Friday. And I don't know, did you get those keys, Jack?
I don't really remember who got the keys.
Okay.
I think we might. My mom
Okay.
and I might have picked them up right before we met you there.
Probably.
Okay.
I think you picked them up at the Vermilion Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at 6 p.m. Friday, the police department have essentially concluded their crime scene processing of the house. So when is the next time that you're at the house?
Whatever day we were there together was the.
Okay.
I don't remember if that was the first time we were there. I don't really remember. I don't remember.
You don't remember the first day you were there? Okay. When was the first time you went to the house and you thought that something was amiss following the shooting?
She's not going to answer any questions regarding anything other than this investigation, because we haven't been provided with information regarding those other investigations, and so I'm not going to have her answer questions about things that we haven't been provided information on.
Okay, and Jack, I will tell you that everything I'm asking here was in the reports that we gave you. I mean, I understand and respect what you're saying, but I'm not.
It really doesn't have anything to do with Jeremy Simcoe and his death, and so she's not going to answer any questions about that. That was not the ground rules today. I said we'd have her come in here and answer questions regarding Jeremy's death. She's doing that.
Okay. You understand from our perspective that's tied into the homicide. So we're looking at all angles. We're not taking anything off the table. I just want you to understand where we're coming from.
Have you
that.
investigated that at all?
Sure.
Have the police?
Sure, yes. That's been looked into. Yes. In a number of different areas. Okay. All right. So there's no questions regarding the break-ins that you're going to answer, right?
No.
Okay. All right. We have some issues with regard to a number of inconsistencies that have come up during the period of this investigation. And I understand that there's trauma involved here, that it's a difficult time, but we're left with a feeling that we don't have the complete story. And if we did, we probably would have been beyond this point today. Okay? Can you understand what I'm saying? All right. So before we get into the inconsistencies, is there anything about this incident that you haven't told us that you would like to tell us?
No.
Okay. Anything you... No. Okay. Anything you think we've missed?
As in?
Any questions that you think I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
She's not going to speculate as to what you should have asked her.
Okay.
That's your job.
Okay.
She's just going to answer Whatever questions you ask her that are proper questions, she will answer.
I have a couple about the gun if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
Julene, when you fired the gun in the bedroom, did you use one or two hands?
I don't remember what I used.
Okay. Normally, when you shoot,
I didn't shoot that gun very often. I probably used two hands.
Okay. Just based on what you're telling us, you take the gun with you to the bed, and prior to taking your gun with you, when you checked Jeremy, you also felt something wet. I'm assuming that was blood. Okay. After you shoot, you go to the bed and you take the gun with you, and as you indicated, there was blood everywhere. Did you wipe that gun off in any way? And the reason I ask you that is because there wasn't any blood on that weapon that you fired. I'm assuming that had you had it on your hands or in the bed, there would have been some blood on there. And I didn't know if you had wiped the gun off in any way.
I don't remember wiping it.
Okay.
I don't know why I would have wiped the gun off.
Any idea why there was no blood on the weapon? Okay. There was some time between when you heard the noise and you grabbed the gun, you went to the clock, you moved to the end of the bed, and then you shot several times, okay? At that time, and you probably had time to think about this, if there was somebody in the house, how he got out or how long it took him to get out. The revolver that was used was found on the kitchen floor, okay? The revolver had no blood on it either. The revolver was used a couple of inches away from Jeremy when it was fired. So there would have been a significant amount of blowback on that weapon. But when the gun was found, there was no blood on it. And I was there enough time that someone could have wiped that off?
No idea
Okay.
what someone might have done.
Okay. Normally, you had indicated that normally when Jeremy hooked the dogs up, he would lock the doors. I think in a previous statement you had indicated to the police that this was something that he normally did. So when he went out to hook up the dogs, he normally came in and he would lock all the doors. That was kind of like
He
his
was the
thing.
last one, yeah.
Yeah. There was no fingerprints of Jeremy found on the door to the kitchen, and no DNA that would have indicated that he would have touched that door.
Well, he would have touched the door. That was
Yeah.
the only door we used in the house.
I know, and I didn't know whether or not, I don't know how that would have occurred either.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
You guys are the experts.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out.
The gun that was used to kill Jeremy, the 357, the one that you guys used at the range for qualification, where was that normally kept?
Normally,
Yes.
I don't know about normally. I believe that gun was in our china cabinet
Okay.
at that time.
All right. Was that a usual place to keep it?
Sometimes it
Sometimes.
would be in
Okay.
there, sometimes not.
All right. Is there any reason that you can think of that a DNA swab of the curio cabinet would only have your DNA on it?
Absolutely not. Nor can I say why the back door it would not have Jeremy's DNA, since that was the door that everybody used to get into the house.
Okay.
I find that to be very strange.
Okay. Let me set out how this appears. Okay. And I think you can understand why we have some questions, and we might want to get into that a little bit further. By all accounts, in interviewing Jeremy, in interviewing people that knew you and Jeremy, they described you both as a security conscious couple. Okay. You had an alarm system on your house, and even though the alarm was not being monitored by an alarm company, when the bottom room doors would open, the chime would sound. You had the driveway alarm, which I understand was probably more to stop people from getting bit by the dogs so you could get out to the dogs. Is that an accurate assumption?
About the driveway alarm?
Yeah, why do
Probably
you have the
both,
driveway alarm?
Because sometimes you wouldn't hear people coming in.
Okay. So would you agree with the assertion that others have made that you were a security conscious couple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a security conscious couple. in a very low crime rate area.
I would not call it low crime rate, by the way. Our property had been broken into several times. The neighbors had stuff stolen. This was not the only incident in the neighborhood.
Nationally speaking, if we look at the Vermilion Township, that area, compare it to the uniform crime report that the FBI establishes, it's very low crime, and the crime they do have tends not to be violent crime. Okay. Prior to this incident, subsequent to this incident, there has never been a homicide committed in the manner that was happened in your home, okay, in that area. Okay, so we have a security conscious couple.
Wasn't there some guy that was found like right down the road, and you say it's a low crime area? There was somebody that was found murdered in a field. So for being a low crime area,
statistically, it's a low crime area. Okay.
She doesn't agree with you.
Okay,
no, I don't
and that's
agree
fine. That's
from
fine.
from what
That's
I
fine.
experienced.
Okay. So we've got a house that you have dogs on each side that are not exactly people friendly. Is that a correct assumption on my part?
A few of them were very people friendly. 2 of them were not so much.
Okay. Which 2 dogs would not be people friendly?
There was a white dog who would be Pele. He was a little skittish, not very people friendly. And Cindy was a black one, and she was not very people friendly, but she was also like a big scaredy cat. She would more like nip and run and hide.
Okay.
So they weren't like attack dogs, but
All right. This is an outside diagram of your house. Okay, and you can see there's a dog house there, and
there would have been a dog here.
1, 2, 3.
This would have been Molly, Cindy.
Would you be kind enough to take that pen and identify each dog at each doghouse for us?
All right, this is the street. So this is Molly. This would have been Cindy. Pele was on the barn at that time. He was hooked on this barn, I believe, at this time, right? This dog.
BC, I could not tell you.
This was Pele, and this was Bear.
Okay, and which 2 tended not to be people friendly?
Pele was not very people friendly, and Cindy probably would have just ran into her doghouse
Okay.
and hid because she at night
If you
she
just
was scared
put
of everything.
Okay. If you just circle those 2 for me, please.
Matter of fact, when the police came back to the property before with a flashlight, they shined it on the dog, and she ran into her doghouse and hid. That's how
Okay. All right.
much of a scaredy cat she is.
All right, and you have a camera system that's recording on your house. So we'll agree to disagree on whether or not it's a low crime rate area. Okay. But we have a security conscious couple. There's only the 2 of you in the house. You go to bed that night. You have dogs that bark all around your property. You have an alarm system in your driveway. You have an alarm system on your house. And I understand it's not being monitored by an alarm company.
It was not even on. We hadn't used that, to be clear.
Okay. Do you understand it was working when BCI
The chimes were working. That
Okay.
That had not been turned on for a long time.
Okay.
The actual
When you say the
security
chimes
system.
are working, what do you mean?
I mean, when you open the back door or the side door or the basement door, it would like give a chime.
Right. But it wasn't sending an alarm to any
No.
place.
The security system was not
Sure. Just
like
the
on,
chimes would
like
sound.
there were motion detectors in the house. Those were not on.
Okay. But the chimes on the
The chimes
doors
were
would
on.
sound.
Yeah.
And it's only those 4 first floor doors, right? You didn't have any, did you have any windows hooked up?
No. There was a front door, side door, back door, and basement door. I believe were all hooked into the chimes.
And that chime's like a 3-tone chime or something like that. And
that.
your driveway alarm's kind of a long, annoying blare. Okay, all right. So I've got that right? Okay. So follow me here if you will. It's the hours of darkness. It's cool weather. We have a security conscious couple that has camera systems, an alarm, and 4, to the outward observer, would look like security dogs surrounding the house. Your husband locks up the door. You go to bed.
Assume he locked up the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
One
Is
of
there
us
any
locked
is
the
there any
door.
reason to believe that the door would not be locked if that's the general
No.
habit? Okay. All right. So we can agree that normally the doors were locked and there's no reason to have this door not locked, right? Okay. For whatever reason, we have a couple that has a very active sex life, by your own admission, previous statements. You don't engage in any sexual relations that night, yet there are marital accoutrements out and ready and present in the bedroom. And look, you know, there's no judgment here. We're just trying to recall facts, okay? For whatever reason, you remove yourself from the bedroom.
By the way, when I said, I just want to make this clear, it's not like we had sex every night, okay? It wasn't like it was 3 times a week. I mean, I wasn't counting. We did often.
I'm just relying on
Most days-
statements you made on previous
Okay, I'm
interviews.
just letting you know.
Okay,
it wasn't
no, please tell me. I mean, on
It
most
wasn't
days,
like there
what?
was anything going on that caused us to not. We just didn't.
Okay, all right. But I want to be fair to you. Is it more common for you to have sexual relations when you go to bed at night, or is it more uncommon for you not to?
It wasn't always at night.
Okay. During that day, no time on the 17th did you engage in relations, correct? Okay. And that was typical or atypical?
There was nothing different about that than, I mean,
Okay.
we just didn't have sex, that's all.
All right. Were there a reason that the marital aids were left out in the open like that?
We used them often.
Okay. All right.
Nobody was usually on the second floor. I mean, most guests were on the first floor.
Okay.
Had they been up there, guests before? Yes.
Okay.
Was the stuff out? No.
Okay. And were you and Jeremy in an exclusive relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So there were no third parties
Absolutely
introduced
not.
into this? Okay. All right. So during the course of that night, you remove yourself to another room. You hear a noise that you have described various times in different ways to persons. You wait several minutes upstairs.
I don't know how long it was.
Well, I'm
We're
using your words.
guesstimating.
Yeah, I'm just using your words.
When I said it before, I said I wasn't clear. I mean, I
Okay.
wasn't watching the clock.
Understand. But you didn't come down right away. When you came down the stairs, did you run down the stairs? Did you walk?
I walked down the stairs.
You walked down the stairs. Okay. Was there any trepidation about coming downstairs at that time?
No.
You had no fears, no concerns?
No.
Okay. All right. So you come downstairs. You find Jeremy shot. Okay. You don't know if there's an intruder in the house. You hear what you think you hear a noise that concerns you. Were you afraid?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you fire 2 shots. You eventually call 911. You try CPR. You move him off the bed. So we're left with the officers get there. They check the residence. There is no forced entry into the residence. None whatsoever.
How did they get in?
The back door was open. The screen door was closed. The back door was open. The 357 that was used.
Because
shoot-
I remember them saying something about asking to like knock down the door or something or gain entry.
Who
But
said,
you're-
who did that?
I thought I remember either I read it somewhere or I remember hearing it on the phone that they had asked if they could, like, I think the 911 operator asked me if they could come into the house, the police, and of course I said yes.
And then the 911 operator asked you if they had permission to break in the door?
I thought that's what I remember
Okay.
hearing.
All right. So the officers get there, and they did in fact try to get into the front door, which was secured, and they kicked it several times and could not gain entry. Okay. And they came around to the back by the kitchen, and the screen door is closed, the other door is open. They find the 357 that was used to shoot Jeremy laying on the floor. Okay. It has 6 rounds in it. 5 are live. 1 has been expended. Okay. The round that shot Jeremy. They come into the house, and as you know, they come upstairs, they find you. So we have a couple, both of them went to bed. Okay. There's no forced entry into the home. No alarms went off. no driveway alarm, all the neighbors were canvassed, nobody heard any barking dogs, and we're left with 2 people in the house, one is dead, one is not. Typically, that lends itself to making you the prime suspect. I mean, you can see where I'm coming from here, correct? Okay. Agree with me or not agree with me? I mean, can you see at least the logic of where I'm coming from? Okay. All right. Now we add to that some other issues. Is this your writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You had what could at best be described, and I'm very sorry to bring it up, but I think it bears mentioning here. A very traumatic event happened to you when you were a child. You were sexually abused by your father, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that happened for a period of years, correct? Okay. And are you familiar with this document that I have here?
Without reading the whole thing.
I'm in no rush. You can take your time and read the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay. And whose writing is this here?
Jeremy's.
That's Jeremy's? Okay. And then I think it's the last 4 pages of this. It is your writing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this has been referred to by investigators as pertaining to the document agreement and or a father-daughter agreement. And are you familiar with this, Jack?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And would you agree with me that this is somewhat atypical behavior? It's not normal.
I don't know what other relationships people carry
Okay.
on, so.
Okay. All right. How long into the relationship did you guys have what you would call the father-daughter relationship? I mean, is this something that started right away, or?
I don't really remember, like, at what point.
I mean, is this something that is years old, or is this something that is months old?
I have no idea.
Okay.
When we put that together.
Okay. You don't have any idea. You don't remember if it was 5 years ago or 7 years ago or 2 years ago?
I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't something that, like, we just did.
Okay.
I think it was something that we probably had for a while.
Who introduced this into the relationship?
We both did.
Okay. Was there a nexus for this? Was there somebody that had the original idea that said, hey, why don't we do this?
I don't really remember.
Okay.
It was a mutual.
Where did you get the wording for this at?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Wording for it.
Was this ceremony, did you ever conduct this?
There was never a ceremony.
Okay.
It was just role playing, kind of.
Okay. All right. Would you agree that this paints a pretty domineering picture of your husband?
He was a dominant guy.
Okay. And you were comfortable in that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You didn't mind being subservient to him
This was
to the
only,
point of degradation.
This was only role playing.
Is only role
For
playing?
your information, just so you know, it wasn't like in a daily relationship. It was like this. This was just role playing, like in the
Okay.
bedroom. It
Well, the
wasn't
reason-
like we went out into the world with this.
I understand it may have been a relationship you kept among yourselves. My concern is, given the events of everything that have happened, are you saying that you are a willing participant for all of that?
I was a willing participant in everything that went on in the
Okay.
bedroom.
All right. There was none of that you were ever forced to do?
No.
Okay. All right. You can understand, I think, why we might ask you those questions given the circumstances we have here. Okay.
You indicated, though, that Jeremy was a dominant individual between the two of you. He was the dominant one.
I would say more so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there have been, the police had done a number of interviews where individuals have said they were at your house, and Jeremy would often order you around, even to the point of asking you to get certain pictures of you and to bring them to Jeremy so he could show them to his guests.
What kind of pictures and whom are these guests?
Well, at this time, I'm not going to reveal the guest's name, but I just
Well, I
wanted
can't
to know
answer
if
a
that
question that I don't know who said what
Okay.
and
But
what
that-
was being looked at.
that kind of situation, then you don't recall what you're saying. Okay. Okay. Did some of these individuals had indicated that he would often order you around, get me a beer, get me this, get me that, and you would do so willingly and submissively?
I wasn't ordered around, and I was a very good hostess. I mean, I usually was the one getting drinks for everybody, or food, or whatever when we had guests.
Well, if he was the dominant role player, how would you describe yourself? If he was the dominant individual in your family, how would you describe yourself?
I think we were both dominant in different areas. I
So-
mean, he didn't like domineer over me in day-to-day life.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we both had our strengths and we both had our weaknesses in business and in skills. And
Did he verbally abuse you when you were on the job?
I don't know. He yelled at everybody on the job site. It was usually a stressful place. So have I ever gotten yelled at on a job site? Probably. Have I done yelling on a job site? I'm sure I have.
Yeah. Was he a jealous individual, his husband?
I don't think so, no.
No. Was he controlling?
I guess we were both controlling over certain aspects of our life.
Okay.
So it depends on what exactly you're asking about.
Okay. I was just trying to get a picture of the relationship between the two of
Controlling
you.
over me? No.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So you were both dominant, is what you're saying.
In different areas. We all have things that we are good at. We all have things that we're not. We all
Right.
contribute somehow to a relationship.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
How would you describe the relationship with your father in the last years of his life?
I only met with my father one time.
And when was that?
It was when he was in the hospital.
When you say only met with him one time, is that you're talking about after he was incarcerated and then
I
he was
believe
released?
that
or-
was the only time that I met with him after that. I'm not sure,
Okay, what
to
hospital
be
was that?
exact. I think it was at Mercy.
Okay, and what was the nature of that meeting?
He was dying.
Okay,
And
Had-
all the siblings got together
okay.
and went there.
Was there anything significant he said to you at that time?
Nope.
Okay. Had your father ever apologized to you for the actions he'd inflicted on you?
Nope.
Okay. Did you still resent that?
I didn't resent it. It wasn't even something I thought about on a daily basis.
It didn't
I had
bother you?
resolved that in my life long before.
At what point in your life do you think you resolved that?
I don't know. I went through a lot of counseling for it.
Okay. How many years would you say you went through counseling for that?
I have no idea.
I mean, 2, 7?
I don't know. I was young.
Okay. All right. Here's why I asked the question. Clearly, it was a horrific thing that was done to you by your father. It's horrific, inexcusable. Okay. I'm sure you're aware that during the course of the investigation, subsequent to the search warrants, that we seized the computer equipment, and that computer equipment was examined. When we talk about there are a number of issues that arise, such as I've laid out for you already, that would tend to make you the prime suspect, okay? 11 hours before your husband is found dead, someone is on the computer in your house pulling up your father's obituary. Now, why would that be, and who would do that?
Well, first of all, I would like to see that, proof of that, because I don't think that ever happened.
Now, we have that proof.
Well, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what time it was and everything else.
Oh, we can tell you exactly. It happened at 18:57 and 03 seconds on July 17, 2009. And if you go to this URL, this website, you'll pull up exactly this obituary.
You said July 17th?
No. November 7th. I may have said July. November 17th. It's 11 hours before the homicide was called in.
Can we see what was accessed before and after?
Sure.
Let's see.
What is this? That doesn't tell us anything.
This looks as though.
Julian, I can assure you there's no trick here. A computer expert was willing to testify that that is exactly what that is.
Well, first of all, did you access this?
No,
Okay.
I didn't access it, but I am curious about.
Yeah, we just want to see who was maybe on the computer. Can you tell, Michael?
Well, somebody searched. Looks as though somebody searched Jeremy Simcoe. Looks like someone
At
searched Julene Simcoe.
somebody.
So it looks like there's a-
So somebody searched Jeremy Simcoe at the same time. Then somebody searched this article. Somebody searched Julie Nick. Now, who's Julie Nick? That's you.
That's my maiden name.
So somebody searched you.
Someone searched Julene Simcoe.
Somebody searched Julie Simcoe.
Somebody searched Judy Maldonado.
Now, Judy Maldonado is your mom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
What is this?
There's another obituary apparently searched. I don't know what that was. Do you know what that was? Did you?
Not off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
Was it determined during the course of the investigation? I'm sure it was.
Okay.
Somebody searched another
There's a bunch of
obituary.
different things.
Yeah.
Searched.
What are those the
These-
times on, times off?
3, 12, 6, 21, 23, and 22. Do you know what?
I'd have to pull up the key to that. For our purposes, the only thing we're interested in at this time is who would have done that and why they would have done
We have
that.
copies of this.
Yeah, I probably can get copies.
A couple other articles that were searched. I don't know what this is. Morning Journal, another Morning Journal. Some other websites, I don't know. Zedu.com, it looks like it's kind of an odd website. I don't know if it's
Zito's an ad that pops up when you search stuff.
okay. I don't know if these other articles are
Okay. Getting back to the point.
I can put a note that we want to ask for a copy of these, just so we can search
I
to
would like
see
to
what,
look at them.
who is maybe.
All right, getting back to the point. Again, you see that adds to our sense of concern about only 2 people in the house, 11 hours before he's found deceased.
What time would that be? What is 18? Is that
6 o'clock.
It was 3 minutes till 7 p.m. Okay, that search is conducted. At 6, I think it's 6:06 a.m., you make a call to 911. So roughly 11 hours before your husband is shot, a person that you have a father-daughter slave relationship, role play, as you say, someone pulls up the obituary of the very person that had a father-daughter sexual relationship with you. That makes one wonder if there is a nexus here or a tie-in with this. I mean, you can understand how we might be concerned about that.
I can understand. I'm telling you, I am not the one that.
Okay.
is using
Is there any
the
reason
computer.
Jeremy would have done that?
No idea.
Does anybody ever come in your home and use your computers?
Mm-hmm.
Who does that?
We've had friends use the computers before.
Okay. And did anybody come in your home and use computers at 7 o'clock that night? Okay,
I
so,
believe it was just 2 of us there all
okay,
evening.
all right. So nobody could have done that search except one of you 2 that night, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. We get to the 911 call, okay? You call the 911 operator. She asked you at one point, did he shoot himself? And you answer no. How did you know that he did not shoot himself?
Because he wouldn't shoot himself.
How did you know?
He was my husband.
Okay,
Usually know these things.
okay. The operator asks you, is there an intruder in the house? And you say yes. How did you know there was an intruder in the house?
The same reason I shot the gun.
You heard it.
Obviously, I didn't shoot Jeremy. I didn't kill my husband. So obviously somebody else was in the house.
Okay,
And they weren't there for any good purposes.
okay. If we get back to the inconsistencies that we see in this case, all right. We see that you make that immediate statement to 911. He didn't shoot himself, but if you weren't present at the shooting, how would you know that? You say there's an intruder in the house. You heard a noise is all you heard. Let's go to the kitchen where the gun was found, okay? We find the gun. First of all, in any shooting like that, have you ever shot into a mud hole or anything like that, or shot into the water, shot close to a tree? You ever done any of those things? If you have, you'll notice that you get splashback or blowback onto the weapon, okay? So someone took the time, in between the time Jeremy was shot, to clean that weapon of any blowback. Here's the really interesting thing. If we assume your theory that there is an intruder in the home, don't you think the intruder would be in a hurry to leave if he heard the shots that you fired?
I would say, yeah.
Okay, but yet this intruder who gained access to the house without setting off the door alarm, without being caught on the camera, without setting off any of the driveway alarm, without making any of the dogs bark, without being noticed by any outside sources, without forcing entry into the home, has made his way into a darkened home, has found a gun on a curio cabinet that bears only your DNA, removes a gun from a holster, goes upstairs to the room where you and Jeremy typically sleep together. That person has to lean across the bed, get within 2 inches of Jeremy's head, pull the trigger, shoot him in the back of the head, taking his life instantaneously. Then, follow me here, please. Then, yes, he was shot in the back of the head. Okay, so follow me now. And you see why we have the concerns we have. That person then has to leave there, decides not to search for you at all, isn't worried about you even though they're armed with a gun, goes downstairs, ostensibly knocks over a chair, but the chair is knocked over in such a manner that the robe is laying underneath it, so it wouldn't have made much noise. It would have been a cushioned fall. Takes the time to clean all the blowback off that gun, which is a considerable amount of time, and then doesn't drop it on the floor because we had BCI check for that. He lays the gun on the floor. There is no damage to the floor from the gun. There is no damage to the gun from the floor. So he lays the gun on the floor, then again mysteriously exits the residence through the open back kitchen door, again doesn't set off the driveway alarm, doesn't set off the dogs barking.
And you're assuming how all this happened because you don't know, nor do I know what transpired. You're assuming somebody went out the back door. You're assuming
every other door was secured. No, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I am going where the evidence leads me. I wasn't there. You were there. I'm only going where the evidence in this case leads me.
Too,
but I'm going where the evidence leads. I mean, if there's something that we've missed in the evidence, heaven help us, we want to know that. That's why I said at the very beginning of this, it's important for us to get to the truth on this. We need your help with this. We want to try to solve this. But right now, is there any way that you don't think we would have to consider you as the prime suspect? We were hoping that you would come in here today and really enlighten us with something. But thus far, all I have is more inconsistencies. We want to help you get resolution here. That's the point of this.
What other suspects have you looked at if you want to get resolution?
We're not going to discuss other
people
suspects.
Been looked at? Have you investigated this any further
We
than
have
me?
investigated. Every avenue that's come up has been investigated. Every avenue, everything here is this case. Everything. Those are all reports related to this case.
Did you also look into the break-ins that happened? Because there were a number of things with footprints and stuff that were never resolved. And a fingerprint that I remember hearing the detective talk about, whatever became of that.
Julian, everything was looked at. Everything
and you
was
came
looked
up
at.
with nothing.
What have we come up with on this case? What have we come up with the homicide? If you're a reasonable person, where does the evidence point in this case? I'm asking you, put yourself in my shoes.
She's not going to answer that question. I mean, I know what you want her to answer, but she's already told you that she came in here to assist you. If you ask her a question that might be something that she could assist you with, I think she's tried to answer every question. And I mean, I don't care if you have everything in the world laid out on top of this table. It doesn't mean that she killed her husband. She's trying to help you with this investigation, but once it starts getting accusatory, then we're going to have to stop the interview. So if you have some more questions you'd like to ask her, she's willing to answer those. If you're going to try to accuse her or have her tell you, yes, I did this, you're not going to get the answer you want. So you got more questions? If no, then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we have a few more.
Okay.
Yeah, there was, we have statements indicating that you maintained a large bowl of Percocet and Vicodin
A what?
in your house.
A what?
Medication.
A
Percocet
bowl?
and Vicodin
No.
in a large bowl. And that statements were that you and Jeremy had offered this.
Like I said,
to the guys.
I would like to see who these statements are
Okay,
from.
so
That's crazy.
you're denying
town.
it. That's all I
No.
wanted to know, one way or another.
Right, where's this bullet?
There are also statements indicating that you had told somebody that you and Jeremy had an argument prior to going to bed that night.
No,
I just wanted to make sure that.
we did not have an argument.
Okay. All right. There is also a statement indicating that you had indicated that you, sometime during the night, you had walked down for a glass of water.
No,
Okay.
I never said that.
And then heard a noise in the house.
No.
Okay. In your previous statements, you had indicated that you had brought a weapon from upstairs down to
No.
the bedroom. So that statement was wrong.
I didn't state that. That never happened.
Well, that was a
Maybe it was
previous statement.
misinterpreted. That didn't happen.
Okay. Also, you indicated in a previous statement that the automatic weapon that you took from the nightstand was actually in his nightstand, not yours. You indicated that's where it always was.
What are you asking me?
In a previous statement, you indicated when you went to get the automatic weapon that it was in his nightstand.
No, it was in my
Okay.
nightstand.
You indicated after that that that's where it always was.
Well, a lot of times I probably said, I don't know what I said.
Yeah.
It definitely got it from my nightstand.
It's very, I guess there's a lot of ironies here, but for example, in the sleeping pills that he took, you had indicated in a previous statement that he had taken sleeping pills for a long period of time and almost got basically addicted to it. And then he laid off of it because he was addicted to it. On this particular night that,
I stated that?
yes,
To who?
to the police.
Okay.
On this particular night, it just seemed to be coincidental that on the night he got killed, he happened to start taking sleeping pills at that time.
I wouldn't say he just up and started taking them.
Well, that's what you said. I'm not putting words in your mind. I mean, that's just
I
a
don't
previous
recall
statement.
saying anything like that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
it
I
was
just.
frequent for him to take pills.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was not out of the ordinary.
If he didn't take those sleeping pills.
Or to drink. A lot of times he would drink NyQuil
Okay.
to sleep.
Okay. But on this occasion, he took sleeping pills from your statement.
Yeah.
Okay. If he hadn't taken the sleeping pills, and he would have woke up when someone was entering the room, and he would have reached for the automatic weapon, he wouldn't have found it in his nightstand because it would have moved to your nightstand.
It didn't matter which nightstand it was in. I mean,
Why
if
not?
it was in, I mean, I don't know how they want me to answer this.
Well,
It was either in mine or his, so it would have been there.
but wasn't it always kept in his nightstand?
A
Isn't
lot
that
of
what you
times it was
said?
kept in his, sometimes it was kept in mine.
Oh, because that's not a previous statement. You said it was always kept in his, but when you were cleaning, you went into the drawer and there were a lot of papers in there, so you moved the gun into your nightstand. Does that sound right? Do you remember what kind of papers that were in the drawer?
No idea.
Okay, all right. Had he woken up though, because the gun was always kept in his nightstand, he would have found no weapon had he tried to reach for it. It's just. It also seems pretty coincidental on the one night you indicated in a previous statement that you rarely slept upstairs, but on this particular night you slept upstairs the same night he got killed. So we have this on this particular occasion. We have him taking sleeping pills for the first time in a while. We have you going upstairs to sleep, which you rarely do. And you have his automatic weapon, which is no longer in his nightstand, but in yours. I mean, I just find that coincidental. If any one of those circumstances didn't exist, things may have been different. I don't know. I mean, you have any explanation for any of that? I mean, no. Did you?
Yeah, just
Had you slept upstairs on the
It
third
used to be
floor?
our bedroom up there.
I know, but had you slept up there previously to this?
Yeah.
On the third floor?
It's not like it was the only time I ever went up there.
Was this the only night that 9mm was in your nightstand?
No.
So, I mean, I know you think it's a lot of coincidences, but maybe it's not a lot of coincidences.
Well, I'm just going by her previous statement, Jack.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you, if you have a question, ask her a question.
I understand.
She can't answer you know, don't you think that's a coincidence? That's really not a question. That's really an accusation.
I see.
Like, look it, we got A plus B, so it must be C. She can't answer the A plus B equals C, but she can maybe give you an answer to a question. That's kind of what I brought her here for, to answer questions, but not to give explanations as to, well, it must be you. And if you can't tell us who it was that killed your husband, then it must be you because of all these coincidences.
I understand where you're coming
She
from.
can't answer that question.
I understand.
So, you know, I believe that her statements are not inconsistent, and I think they're very consistent. And so I would have the same question of you. If her if her statements are consistent, does that automatically mean that she's telling the truth? No. If her statements are inconsistent, that automatically means she's lying? No. It just, the facts are the facts. So if you got some facts, I'm going to allow her to answer those.
Okay.
But I don't want to get into the, you know, the coincidences and the speculations and, you know, I mean, I don't know, did the dogs bark when the police arrived? Now, if they didn't bark when the police arrived, well, maybe that would, we know that there was a gun fired in that house. Did the neighbors hear a gunfire? Well, if they didn't hear a gunfire, then maybe there was no gun ever fired. Because isn't that a coincidence that it's a real quiet neighborhood and the neighbors didn't hear a gunfire, and so maybe a gun wasn't fired? Did they hear 3 shots? Well, they only heard 1. Well, then that's pretty a coincidence. So we can do the coincidence game, but just ask her some questions.
Sure.
We can
I understand.
move on.
No, I don't think so.
Julene, do you recall when you were in the emergency room at Community Hospital, when the emergency room asked you what happened, you saying, I shot my husband?
No, I didn't say that because I didn't shoot my husband.
Okay. You're emphatically saying you never
didn't
made
say
that
that.
statement? Okay. Do you recall telling an acquaintance of yours that Jeremy knows who shot him?
No. I mean, I don't recall, and I don't know who you're talking about if you don't tell me, or the conversation.
It was a friend of yours. You know, they'll come. I'm sure if there's a trial, it'll come out at trial. And if it doesn't, if we find something else, I'm not. I don't want to throw her or him under the bus, and that's why we're being a little vague on that. I can tell you, it's not something we're making up. It's something that we have recorded.
Did you get Andrew, maybe?
Say again.
Who?
I don't know who that is.
Jean Marie?
Maybe.
Okay. Did you
I don't know
ever?
who
Do you
Jean is.
recall ever? It's very simple. Do you recall ever telling anyone that Jeremy knows who shot him?
No.
Do you know if Jeremy knows who shot him?
No.
Okay. All right. Did you recall at the wake telling friends of Jeremy's, I wish I could tell you what really happened?
I don't recall saying that.
Okay. Do you think you made that statement? Okay.
Last one more, maybe. One more
Okay.
question. Do we?
I don't think so.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Can you give me just 1 second, just
Sure.
to make sure I haven't missed anything here? Okay.
There was something that we read that there was some kind of a connection between her and a person by the name of Maldonado, kind of some text messages that were prior to this shooting, and
Sure.
you kind of thought like, woo, maybe there's a connection there. Who's this Maldonado character, Julene?
Oh, we spoke about this
Yes.
before. My brother Matthew.
And how old
Okay.
is he?
He's 18 now.
All right, so did he assist you with planning this thing 4
Is that
years ago?
Matthew Maldonado you're
Yeah.
talking about?
All right,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
So,
Okay, just so we're clear, you're saying that absolutely no way, shape, or form Do you believe or know him to be involved in this?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
He's lucky if he can tie his own shoes.
Okay. All right. Do you know a Sheldon Yamasaki?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when did you become acquainted with Sheldon Yamasaki?
I knew him in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw him. I think it was 2010. I went
Okay.
to a class. I don't think it was alumni. That's what it was.
Okay.
I was there with my family, and I ran into him.
And did you and he eventually establish a relationship?
No,
Okay. So
we
you-
were friends.
friends
Yeah,
after the high school reunion.
yeah. We
Okay.
stayed in touch after that.
All right. So there was never occasion where you and he ever engaged in sexual relations after.
I don't really think that's relevant to anything. But no.
Well,
No.
whether you do or you don't, you're saying no, it didn't happen.
No.
Was there ever a time that you and he got in an argument and he slapped you?
Oh, yep.
Okay. And what was?
And there was a time he tried to push his way into my house, and then I also called the police on
called
him.
the sheriff's office, right?
Yep.
Okay. What's going on regarding what were the circumstances regarding him slapping you?
I just told him he could not come around anymore. He was too much. He was pushing his way into business that wasn't his and going out to family members. Just
Did you ever divulge
and wanted to have a relationship, and I did not want to have a relationship.
Okay. Did you ever divulge to him any facts of this case?
I never discussed anything with him
Okay.
for that fact.
Okay. So you never told him anything about this case?
No.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything else.
No.
Okay. I very much thank you for coming in. Do you have any questions of me?
A lot of questions. I'm sure they won't be answered, so.
Probably not in this venue.
No.
Okay. I very much thank you again for coming in.
A month later, Julian Simcoe was charged with aggravated murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. At trial, the prosecution argued the stressful master-slave relationship coupled with Simcoe's childhood abuse caused her to snap. Simcoe was found guilty and sentenced to 28 years in prison. She will be eligible for parole in 2045.